Hi everybody, this is Gayle. Welcome to my Bodacious channel. We have got some great things to talk about today. Women's Tasting channel is already in here, so hi Lori and welcome. I have got some trivia. I'm so excited. I've done like tons of research and we have tons of trivia. I got 2 pages worth of trivia, and we're also going to talk about some ways that you can celebrate Women's History Month, because this is March. March is Women's History Month, and that's why we're doing the trivia. So thank you all for coming. I want to make sure that I remind you to go ahead and click that like button, and don't forget to share it and make sure you subscribe to our channel if you have not done so already, because you want to do that, right, Lori? Lori being Women's Station channel. Lori's got a neat channel, so if y'all have time, or when you have time, go check it out, okay? Interesting stuff there. She does some cooking, some women's empowerment, just really a lot of neat stuff. So go check it out, just saying. And let's see. We have got, okay, it's just Lori in right now. I'm going to wait just a minute. We'll see who else comes in for this stream. So it's women's trivia, and there are some monuments, national parks that they commemorate women's history. So I'm going to be talking just a little bit about those, and I did drop my blog link down in the description box, and that's where some of this information is coming from. Now, I am not seeing the live stream show up on my channel yet, so that's another reason I'm going to give it just a minute, because that's an indication that notifications may be a little slow going out. I actually sent one to myself, so I would be able to answer the question of whether or not they went out, and I actually do not see that yet. Let's see, Valerie Reese is in the house. So hi, Valerie. Welcome. Glad to see you here. Thank you for taking the time to come. I know you're busy getting ready to go to India and lots of things coming up, so I appreciate it. Did you all get a notification about this? Because I know when I'm looking at my channel page here, it is not showing up, which is crazy. Let me keep reloading it here. Okay, now we've got it. So cool. So, all right, down in the description box, I have put a blog link in there. Whoa. And that is where you can find a little bit more about some of the parks and monuments. I found 4 that commemorate women's history, and that would be Harriet Tubman National Park, Rosie the Riveter World War II Homefront National Historic Park, Eleanor Roosevelt National Historic Site, the Women's Rights National Historic Park, and there is a Pocahontas Island Historic District. So not really a national park, but I went ahead and included it anyway, since it is a national historic district that pays homage to women. So wanted to do that. All right. Are you all having a good night tonight, you two? So Valerie says her sister is there from Texas. They've been busy packing, and she is resting now. Good idea, because you're probably still recovering, and probably your body will be for a while. Valerie had surgery back in December. Okay, Valerie got a notification, and Women's Station channel got a notification. There we go. She says that she can hear. She'll be okay in a couple of minutes, okay? I'm not sure what that means, but I'm glad that you're going to be okay, because that's really what I care about. So, all right, so some of the national parks that commemorate women's history are their household names. I mean, who hasn't heard of Harriet Tubman Harriet Tubman, and Eleanor Roosevelt. So Rosie the Riveter may not be as familiar to some of us, and the Women's Rights National Historic Park may not be, but I also believe that most people have heard of Pocahontas. So I've got a couple of trivia questions about them, and I will be posting the questions online. They're going to go on my blog here in just a little while. Didn't want to post them yet because I didn't want y'all to be looking up answers. Just saying. Okay, and I am fixing to have to go get my dog, but I think John just got him. Okay. It sounds like he needs to go through the door. So, all right. So, let me start off with number 1. What was, Harriet Tubman National Park? What was the former name for this national park? What was it? Does anybody know? It still had Harriet Tubman in the title. Okay, well, I'll go ahead and tell you. It was the Harriet Tubman Home, and that was established in 1903, and then in 2017, it was designated as a National Historical Park. So not too old. It's relatively new as a historical park, and that just changes the designation just a little bit. It raises awareness on a national level and makes people more interested in going to see it, especially if you're like me and some other folks and you have a national parks passport book and you run around to national parks trying to get as many stamps on it as you can. Just a little fun thing to do. It also solves some arguments, because if you're never sure whether or not you went to a national park, you can look it up in your book and you can show where you've been. It's even got the dates on it. So cool. But anyway, okay, Clara Barton National Historic Site is in Glen Echo, Maryland. And of course, it's named for Clara Barton, since it is the Clara Barton National Historic Site. Now, she was the founder of the American Red Cross. But what was the role of Clara Barton during the American Civil War? Some of these trivia questions are a little different. I hope you enjoy them. But I'm going to give you 3 options, 3 choices. And was Clara Barton A, doctor, B, a nurse, or C, an organizer? Which one was she? A doctor, nurse, or organizer? Okay. She was, I'll go ahead and tell you. She was a nurse. Yes, Valerie Reese got it right. She was a nurse. Lori with Women's Station Channel, she guessed organizer. I guess you could say that to organize the American Red Cross, she probably did have some organizational skills, but she was a nurse. It says Clara Barton served as a nurse during the American Civil War and later went on to found the American Red Cross, earning the nickname Angel of the Battlefield for her work in providing medical care to soldiers on the front lines. So, got a neat nickname out of it. Okay. Now, this trivia question about Women's History Month, it does not have anything to do with a national park. I kind of threw some others in. I thought I remembered that one from another show. Well, that was one of the roles, but she was really a nurse, but she did take on the organization of the Red Cross. So I guess you could say that. I guess you could. But really, nurse is what we were looking for. All right, number 3. Who was the first woman appointed to the U.S. Supreme Court? Was it A, Sandra Day O'Connor, B, Susan B. Anthony, or C, Shirley Chisholm? First woman appointed to the U.S. Supreme Court. Who was she? Sandra Day O'Connor, Susan B. Anthony, or Shirley Chisholm? B, Women's Station Channel is saying. No. Sandra Day O'Connor. Sandra Day O'Connor was appointed by President Ronald Reagan in 1981. But I do have a question for you about Susan B. Anthony. There is a Susan B. Anthony house and museum in Rochester, New York. It's named for the famous suffragette and women's activist. In what year was Susan B. Anthony arrested for leading a group of women to vote in the presidential election? What year was she arrested? Was it A, 1872, B, 1892, or C, 1920? I'll repeat it again. A, 1872, B, 1892, or C, 1920? Let's see what we got here. Women's Station Channel says 1920. Let's see. Is Valerie going to vote? And we have a third person here who's watching, so thank you for watching. Do feel free to come on in. Valerie doesn't know. Okay. 1872. 1872. Can you imagine being arrested for trying to vote just for casting your ballot, getting arrested and thrown into jail? But that's what happened with Susan B. Anthony in 1872. She was arrested and put on trial for voting in the presidential election, which was illegal for women at the time. She was found guilty and fined $100. I should have done the math to find out what $100 was in 1872 to today. I didn't think about that. So, and then it says she refused to pay the fine. I don't blame her. I'd refuse to. But her arrest helped to draw attention to the women's suffrage movement. Okay. Women's Station Channel says she thought we couldn't vote until later. No, we couldn't. In fact, let me check and see. I'm going to look it up real quick and see when we got the right to vote, because I don't want to say the wrong thing here. I think it was 19, but let me see. I want to make sure I find a site that's got some kind of reputation behind it. Let's see. National Archives ought to be able to tell us. Passed by Congress June 4th, 1919, and ratified on August 18, 1920. The 19th Amendment granted women the right to vote. So it was a lot after. There we go. That was not many, but it was several years after she was arrested that we got the right to vote. Passed, here it is right up here. Passed by Congress June 4, 1919, ratified August 18, 1920. Wow. And this is the National Archives. So if anybody's going to get it right, it should be the National Archives, right? Unbelievable, though. Yeah. That's why she got arrested. She thought it was in the 60s. Nope. Something weird's going on with my camera. Let me turn off the light and see if that helps. If that makes a difference. Whoa. I don't know this is crazy. All right. Let me see if I turn the light on, if that's going to help. I don't think it made a difference. This is kind of weird. It wasn't doing this a minute ago. Let's see if I can fix it. Okay, we'll see if that helps. No, it really didn't help. Well, that's not cool. I'm going to change computers here just a sec. Okay, I'll go ahead and ask the next question. That is true. Even now, we're not. Alien invasion of your camera. It could be. It could be. Oh, let's see. Oh, hey. How are you? It's good to see you. Okay. I'm changing cameras so I can get away from this flashiness, which means I'm actually changing computers. So just a second here. You see if it'll let me in. Okay. So I'm going to go off one and on with the other. Okay. That's still. Okay, that helped, didn't it? Okay, I'm going to turn this down. And here we go. All right, let me pull this over here. Sorry about that, y'all. Trying to use the laptop because this computer decided to do an update, and obviously that was weird. Okay, so Bucket KO Vlog DG, welcome. It is good to see you. It could be, there's no telling. So strange, so strange. So hello. But Women's Station Channel, you brought up an interesting point. We're still not equal yet. Still, we have a lot of work to go. I am thankful, though, that women like Susan B. Anthony were there to get the ball rolling. So the legacy that they began, we've kind of been riding on, and now I think we have to kind of keep pushing it forward until we get there. But I do think we'll get there one day. Slowly, obviously, but I do think it's going to happen. Too much is going on in the world. The millennials, the Gen Zs, they definitely want to be recognized and considered equal, and I think that we're going to get there. So, maybe that could be the case, but I really think she says if we're not equal now, it'll never happen. We need younger presidents. I think that should be the case too. I'm going to shut up so I don't get too political about ages and stuff. So Miss DG is here. So hey, going back to the trivia questions. Okay. Speaking of our elected officials here, who was the first African American woman elected to Congress? Who was it? And I forgot to do Multiple choice on this one. I'm sorry. Yep, I agree with you on that too. I agree. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you this one since I didn't do a multiple choice on it like I should have and thought I did. Shirley Chisholm. She was elected to the House of Representatives from New York. Valerie stayed here in 1968. So that didn't happen until 68. So, and we have the next question's easier. I promise. It's about Amelia Earhart. So we're getting a little easier, right? On that one. There is a bridge. It's called the Amelia Earhart Bridge, and it is in Atchison, Kansas. It's named for Amelia Earhart, who was actually born in Atchison. But what was Amelia Earhart famous for? What did she do? And I do have a multiple choice on this one. Okay. She was known for A, electronics, B, aviation, or C, her work as an airplane mechanic. Women's Station Channel says flying around the world. There you go. There you go. All right, I'll go ahead and call it aviation. She was the first female aviator to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. Unfortunately, she disappeared while attempting to fly around the world in 1937. Yeah, she flew an airplane. Can you imagine how controversial that must have been at the time? Unbelievable. I mean, I've read stories on it, but to just actually have been there and to heard the controversy, wow. Okay, moving along. Babe Didrikson. I looked up how to pronounce her last name and I've now forgotten it, but it's Zahariaswas. Zacharias was the first. I'm going to type this in here. It could be aliens. It could be Women's Station Channel. We will never know. But let me type this lady's name in here. Okay, so that person, this one right here, was the first woman to win an Olympic gold medal in track and field. In the 1932 Olympics, she won 2 gold medals, but where was it held? Where were the Olympics that year? Was it Atlanta, Los Angeles, or San Francisco? Which one was it? 1932 Summer Olympics, probably a little bit before all of our times here. So Atlanta, Los Angeles, or San Francisco? What could it be? Well, I'll go ahead and tell you. It is Los Angeles, LA. Los Angeles was the site of the 1932 Summer Olympics. Atlanta didn't come along until like 1996. All right. So the other one, this next one, Women's Station Channel might get. It's a little closer to her, not in her state, but a little closer to her than we are. And it is, hang on just a second. Okay, I got a tweet from the Phantom Gloria saying, hey, everybody, sorry she can't get in. It is poker night again. That's okay, Gloria. We love you. We'll forgive you. Hopefully your husband will move this to another night someday and you can come back. All right. So anyway, this question is about a volcano in Washington State, Mount St. Helens. So the trivia question is, Mount St. Helens is an active volcano located in Washington State. It is obviously named after St. Helen. But who was she? Who was St. Helen? Was it A, the mother of the Roman Emperor Constantine? Was it named for Helen Keller, or was it named for Helen of Troy? Waving back at you. That's awesome. Okay, Lori at Women's Station Channel is guessing C, so she is guessing Helen of Troy. What could it be? A, the mother of the Roman Emperor Constantine, B, Helen Keller, or C, Helen of Troy? So Women's Station Channel says C. Valerie Reese says A. And the answer is indeed A, the mother of the Roman Emperor Constantine. It says, Helen Keller was an author and the first deaf and blind person to earn a bachelor's degree, but the volcano wasn't named for her. And I didn't realize that she was the first blind and deaf person to get a bachelor's degree, but she was. And Helen of Troy, who was the daughter of Zeus and Leda, according to legend, her abduction by the Trojan prince Paris sparked the Trojan War. So, Helen of Troy. Helen of Troy. Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised to find that out. So, I thought that was really cool, though. I really, it amazes me. Like, I can't do college algebra, and here she goes and she gets a bachelor's degree, and she can't see or hear. Of course, she had help. She had help. But I don't think anybody gets through college without having help now and then. Of course, she had to have, somebody to spell the words out for her and stuff. But nobody gets through college without help sometimes. And it just blew my mind. So, other mind-blowing trivia questions. Who was the first woman to become a billionaire in the United States? This answer kind of surprised me too, I'll be honest with you, because I just assumed it would be somebody who inherited old family money. And I was wrong. This woman grew up dirt poor. Dirt poor. And I bet you all can guess. She has a media empire. She's African American. She became a billionaire in 2003. She has a magazine. And it is none other than Oprah Winfrey. And I sure thought it was going to be somebody who inherited money or was married to it. But no, it was Oprah Winfrey. So go Oprah. Yeah, Valerie got it. But yeah, I really thought it was going to be, any number of other possibilities. But I'm Oprah she came from nothing. And I just love, because I think that really speaks a lot of what we can do when we have a positive mindset, and this drive to achieve. If you read more about her, she really was told a lot about how she could not do things. She could not achieve. She was a woman. She was a black woman. Women weren't seen as go-getters in the media world or anything else. But yet she was a talk show host, television producer. She was an actress. She was an author. She gives away money. She's a philanthropist. And, she's been named the queen of all media, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, go her. All right. This one takes us back to World War II. This next question. It's about Rosie the Riveter. And Rosie the Riveter, World War II Homefront National Historic Park, say that fast, is in Richmond, California. But who was Rosie the Riveter? Was she a riveter, a machinist, or was she a cultural icon? Which is it, a riveter, a machinist, or a cultural icon? C, A. Actually, she was a cultural icon. She was the star of a campaign aimed at recruiting women into, here, I'll just pull it up, into working jobs during World War II, because this was a time when, women didn't do jobs outside the home. So they created Rosie the Riveter, who may or may not have been based on a real person. I saw 3 or 4 different things saying she was, saying she wasn't, who it might have been, who it definitely wasn't. But here's what I thought was really interesting. Between 1940 and 45, the female percentage of the U.S. workforce increased from 27% to nearly 37%. And by 1945, nearly 1 out of every 4 married women worked outside the home. And this was kind of a time when married women didn't work outside the home. They were expected to take care of the home, and the husband was expected to make the income. But World War II just kind of changed that dynamic for us, and Rosie the Riveter helped to do it. So yeah, one single campaign can do it. Essentially, yeah, in some ways. And going back in through, way back into history, we were bought and sold. And of course, definitely the African Americans, nobody can really touch what happened to them. But yeah, and unfortunately, human trafficking, modern day slavery is still happening. They even just caught, or not caught, but they just rescued a 17-year-old girl in Knoxville a couple of weeks ago out of that. So yeah, nope, not kidding. So yeah, it's in the news. So, all right. Another lady that we don't usually think of as a lady. And so when I read this, I had to put it in there because we call it lady, but I don't think we usually think of it. And that is the Statue of Liberty on Liberty Island in New York Harbor. Lady Liberty was named for a Roman goddess. But which one? Was it Libertas, Vesta, or Juno? A, Libertas, B, Vesta, or C, Juno? The name kind of gives it away. But when I was doing, looking things up, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to include her. Women's Station Channel says A. Valerie says B. It is A. Libertas. It says Libertas was the goddess of liberty, freedom, and personal independence. Juno was queen of the gods, and Vesta was goddess of the earth, home, and family. So, Libertas. So, yay! Yeah. And I think it's cool that Lady Liberty stands for personal independence, because we were just talking about how we as women are still working on that. But we're getting there. So those are the questions I have about places. This next section is trivia questions for Women's History Month. These trivia questions are about women authors. It's several of these I think you're going to be able to guess without multiple choice. I hope so anyway. But what woman wrote the book Pride and Prejudice? I will tell you that her name begins with Jane. I'll give you that hint. Who wrote Pride and Prejudice? I can give you a multiple choice if you want it. Okay, I'll give you a multiple choice. Is it Austen, Arnold, or Williams? And I just pulled up two of those names. So Austen, Arnold, or Williams? Who could it be? Austen, Women's Station Channel says. And that would be true. It is Austen. Jane Austen was known for novels like Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility, that explored social commentary on the British upper class. Wildly popular in the US too. So, there you go. Okay, y'all. Who was Virginia Woolf? Oh, she's one of her faves. Okay. No wonder you caught that so fast. Okay. So this one is, who was Virginia Woolf? I've got multiple choice on this one. Is it A, a musician, B, an author, or C, an architect? I just told you what this section was a few minutes ago, so I think you can get this one. Musician, author, or architect? Writer. There you go. There you go. There you go. Women's Station Channel says writer. She indeed. Indeed. Valerie got it too, y'all. Knocked it out of the park. Author. She's known for her modernist writing style and works such as Mrs. Dalloway and To the Lighthouse. So there you go. Okay. Now, what novel earned Toni Morrison a Pulitzer Prize? Was it, I just found a typo in this. Hold on. Okay. What novel earned Toni Morrison a Pulitzer Prize? Was it A, Beloved, B, Blessed, or C, Being? Okay, Valerie, thank you for coming in. You have a great evening too. I appreciate you. Have fun packing. That's amazing. that she's going to get to go to India. I'm so excited for her. But anyway, on the novel, it is beloved. It says that Toni Morrison was known for her portrayal of the African American experience and her Pulitzer Prize winning novel, Beloved. So there we go. The other one, probably everybody knows the next three. I'm going to shout them out anyway. We've got who wrote I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings? Maya Angelou, known for her autobiographical works, including I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings and Heart of a Woman. Maya Angelou. And then we have got, what was Emily Dickinson known for? Poetry. And who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird? Choices I've got are Harper Lee, Mary Shelley, or Virginia Woolf. We've already had a Virginia Woolf question, and it is Harper Lee. She was known for her Pulitzer Prize winning novel, To Kill a Mockingbird, which explores racism and prejudice in the American South. So there you go. So that's what I've got for trivia questions for Women's History Month. But now I've got some ideas on what you can do to celebrate Women's History Month, because I think it's important that we celebrate it. And I don't think it's important that just women celebrate it. I think it's important that we help our men in our lives to celebrate it and recognize, and that we teach our daughters that tons of advances and tons of achievements have been made by women, and that they can go out and they can do whatever they want to. I think now more than ever, and I think the upcoming generations will keep moving forward. But anyway, that's just my thoughts. So, Lori, I know you're probably going to have some ideas too. So toss those down there in the chat, okay? And actually, you and I could probably do a whole live stream on this and come up with nothing but ideas. So if you want to do that sometime during March on either one of our channels, holler at me, because I think that would be really cool. Okay, so ideas for how to celebrate Women's History Month is to read books written by women or about women's history. And that's why I wanted to include some of the authors that we just talked about. These could include biographies. They can be novels. They can be works of other types of fiction, science fiction, fantasy, just works by women authors. Like I said, that's one of the reasons that I talked about the section earlier about authors, and I think that's a really easy way to celebrate Women's History Month. And let's see, Lori is writing a press release supporting her female strengths. Love to do something on this with me. Okay. We will talk about that by Facebook back and forth and make that happen. I think that would be awesome, because I think the two of us could come up with some really amazing ideas. Something else about Women's History Month, and this is one that I hope that we would consider taking daughters to, and that is to attend or host an event that celebrates women's history. So it could be a lecture, a film screening, an art exhibit, a poetry reading, just something that celebrates women's history. And again, take our daughters. And it might be a great date night for your significant other to come along. And I have to put this in because this next one is near and dear to my heart, going back to my nonprofit experience, and that is organize a fundraiser to support a women's charity or a nonprofit organization that helps women. And when I say women's charity, it can be one that's founded by women, or it could be one like in Knoxville, Tennessee, there is the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. It's a charity, and it is devoted to women's basketball, which you don't hear about. It could be something like that. It could be a women's shelter. It could be a homeless shelter that serves women and children. Choose your own heart passion. I'll say that. Choose your own passion. But you can set out a bucket at work for a donation, a little coffee kitty, even spare change, those dimes, those nickels, those pennies, those quarters, those add up. And it doesn't take a huge amount of money to make a difference. Even a small amount, $3 can help a woman get a gallon of gas, and that can help a woman flee an abuser, okay? It doesn't have to be hundreds of dollars. Although hundreds of dollars is great, obviously, it's great. But yeah, definitely. And let's see, a Medium article, yes. Women's Station Channel says people seem poor right now. That's true. Spare change. And there's no limit on how long you leave the bucket out. You could put it out for a couple of days, or you could put it out for the whole month of March, Women's History Month. Absolutely. And the next one, okay, y'all, with YouTube, this is not a hard one to do either. And that is to watch documentaries or films about women's history or influential women such as iron-jawed angels or hidden figures. And if you've not seen Iron-Jawed Angels, it is a hard-hitting look at what women suffragettes went through who were put in jail. They went on hunger strike. They were force fed. I had no clue what force feeding looked like until I saw the movie, and it was a tearjerker. It was a very important movie for me to watch personally because it helped me understand more about what the women gave up who really fought to make this happen for us, and the lengths that they had to go to get help in the jail while they were being fed. It was just a really important thing for me to personally watch. It was a popular movie. Other people felt it was powerful too. Okay, there you go. Share women's documentaries and rate them. She's done a lot of that. Is that on your blog? You can post that over in the group if you want to. If you've got something written and you want, or if you've done a video on it, go post that. Definitely. Because people need to know this. The next one I put down was to send a card to recognize the women or a woman in your life who's made a personal difference to you. Think of former teachers, think of mothers, nurses, doctors, grandmothers. It's someone who has just really helped you. Send them a card, make a phone call, send them an email, and just say, hey, thinking about you, thought about you, grateful for you. You helped me through this, that, or the other. But just let them know. Because one of the things I'm just going to harp on for just a second, this little rabbit trail tangent, is we don't support women enough. And we don't let people know that we love them enough. And if women can't support women, then we got some major problems there. And that's one thing I really like about TikTok, that hashtag women supporting women. I love that. There was a movement on YouTube a few years ago, hashtag Women's Wednesday. I don't know if that's still a thing. I've not actually checked it, and I need to do that because, yeah, I need to do that. But definitely on TikTok, women supporting women is a big thing. Let's see. I felt that so much, Gayle, in the 90s and couldn't figure out what I was going through. Okay, and she says, Mary Morrissey. Good name to look up. Absolutely. Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, when we don't put names to it, then we can't. We don't know what we're going through, because there is no name. There's nothing to call it, and yeah, and we need that. We need to name it. So send a card. The other Another thing is, for people who are artistic, create a mural or do an art project that celebrates women's history or accomplishments. Now, this doesn't have to be huge, okay? Murals are all different sizes. You can do a mural in a house, you can do a mural on the side of a building. I know a women's program that an artist has come in, and their idea was to do an entire mural along all of the room, even around and encompassing the door in the mural, to make it completely child friendly. They work with domestics, and to make it child friendly and this sort of fantasy jungle theme, they have an artist that came in, that worked on that for them. So there is power in murals. They don't have to just be on a building outside, but you could also do a painting and donate it for an auction. You could donate it to a women's shelter, someplace where people can see it, a homeless shelter office. There's just so many possibilities. So if you're an artsy person, that art project, go for it. Another thing is, we're a travel channel. So go visit some of the sites we just talked about. Go to a park or visit a monument that's been dedicated to women in history or women in the military. Hello, go visit. Okay? And it doesn't have to be necessarily that you go across the country. Do some research. You will be surprised to find out what kind of statues and memorials are around that support women that you've never even thought about. In Oak Ridge, Tennessee, they have billboards that are where they have used Rosie the Riveter and put her up in some of the World War II areas. Of course, all of Oak Ridge has significant World War II history going on, but they've taken billboards. I got to get my thoughts straight, and put her on the billboard so you can see some of those in Oak Ridge. Downtown Knoxville has a statue for the suffragettes. So many things. So many things. And let's see, Women's Station Channel says we could include how these women help together. I think that's a good idea, because that will help people see the total picture. That is a good idea. Another thing is to help ideas on how to celebrate Women's History Month is to create a bulletin board or a display at work about the contributions of women in a relevant field. So if you work in a doctor's office or a medical office, do a little display about women who've contributed to medicine. If you work in a law office, do a little table or a little display of women who've made a difference who are in law, things like that. And it'll really help you and other people to see a broader expanse of how women have made a difference and what women have done. So a little display for just recognizing women in your field. And take your daughters to work. Teach them. They can be whatever they want to be. Show them your job. If they can't, if your child can't go to work with you all day, maybe you could just take her by and show her the office or show her the restaurant. Show her what you do. Work it out with management. Just say, hey, 5 minutes of bringing my daughter in. Make a day of it if you can, but if you can't, even a few minutes. If you're in Sunday school class, I want to shout this out. Share about famous women in biblical history. in your Sunday school class. Teach it realistically. Look at the women. Look at the things they've done. Don't just gloss over it. Sometimes I think we teach about women in the Bible from a man's perspective, and certainly that's part of the story, but I think we also need to hear about the women and study the women, and because this is just an area where even now it's male dominated. The field is male dominated. The stories in the Bible are male dominated. And if we can help our daughters understand that women were contributors all the way back into biblical times and before, because we got the Old Testament, and the Old Testament is before the New Testament, obviously. So going back to then, if we can help our daughters understand that there were some very strong women that helped formulate the stories that we have now, it's only going to help them long term, and it helps us too. So those are my ideas. Lori's got some ideas. Those of you who are watching later, if you get to this point, I'm sure you've got some ideas, so put those down in the comment section, okay? I don't just say that, I mean it, because you may help inform a future video, and you certainly will help people who come and see the comments. So, it appeared to change in history after the primitive age. I took a little bit of anthropology and loved it. Part of what I loved about it is it was like the super early stuff seemed to be, focused on survival. It took men and women. And so, yeah, somehow we've gotten away from that, which is a shame, because now we're fighting to get back there. So, all right, you all. Well, I hope you enjoyed the trivia questions tonight. Thank you so much for hanging out. Lori, I appreciate you being here, and I look forward to doing something with you on that. I think it's going to be great. So y'all take care. I'll see you, later this week on a video. Tomorrow, I've got a shorts coming out. My dog. I love my dog. But he's a very well-trained, lovable, sweet dog, but sometimes he gets himself into trouble. Tomorrow's shorts is about that. I go out, I take the trash. He was being all cute, all fine. He was in the living room. Yeah, I had a couple of boxes in the living room. I was packing some stuff in it, trying to rearrange, take the trash out, come back, and he is eating part of my box. So that's what tomorrow's shorts is. So look forward to that. It'll make you laugh. He has a caption as to what his explanation is, and that's the part I think you'll laugh about. So anyway, thank you all. I will see you next week. Thanks, Lori. Y'all take care. Good night.